The following is a conversation that I had with my friend Gabriel this past weekend down in Monterey. We shot a wedding together on Saturday, and then the very next morning on Sunday, early in the morning, he was kind enough to meet up with me and record this podcast. We talk about a lot of interesting, kind of cool things, and more than likely you've been to a wedding, but maybe you haven't heard about some of the behind the scenes things that go on with the vendors and what it goes into actually shooting a wedding, capturing it either with photo or video. Their work can be found at the Howard's Film Co. on Instagram. I'll put it on the screen right here. Highly recommend you follow their work. Go check them out, and hope you guys enjoy the conversation.
On wedding days, dude, I go back and forth of hiring an assistant all the time.
If you need one all the time?
Yeah, well, especially bigger wedding days.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, I'd like to have, in a perfect world, I'd like to have, two second shooters with me and then, one assistant to just run around, grab batteries, set up lights if they can. Then you're just focused fully on the shot and not.
So you're talking about an assistant in addition to your second shooter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to take all the thinking process away, so you can just fully focus on getting shots and not worry about, I have to run up to the ballroom and go set up these lights at this time or anything. It's
even yesterday during our shoot, I left my tripod in the just one of my tripods in the front of the church, and then when we were about to do some of the portraits, I had to run in and grab it. It wasn't a big deal because we got so many other awesome portrait shots, but it's still just that time, takes up that time, where it's you have to go and get it. And even just like you were saying, just the mental space of having to think about that and go do it. It's rough, man. I'm just checking the levels.
all good.
Yeah, but we're yeah, dude, and we're live, by the way. So
sweet. Okay, sweet. I won't think about it, but yeah.
Have you done podcasts before?
I think I've done maybe one or two, but that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
It's been a while.
Yeah, I know, because I know a few friends who other video guys who have they've been guests on podcasts and stuff like that, and they said it's fun because you get to just chat and stuff like that. But I don't even think it was that big of a thing. Now it seems like everybody has a podcast,
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah, it was, I don't know when it started. I don't know if it was during COVID or something, when people have more time, ended up having more time to kind of watch and listen to stuff. But yeah, man. So I wanted to ask you though too. I remember you were telling Sterling, one of our assistants, that we shot a wedding with a couple months ago, less than a couple months ago. You were saying you tried college for a little bit, but you went full time into wedding filmmaking, filmmaking in general, videography. I was wondering if you wanted to talk about a little bit about how that started, your journey, kind of what made you want to go full time in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I wanted nothing to do with the camera for the first half of my life. It wasn't until college really that I think I just picked up a camera after high school and was this is kind of cool. And then I took one college course. I took 2 college courses actually on photography. One was Photoshop, learning Photoshop was my first class that I took.
Yeah.
And I was oh yeah, I like this. And then I started getting into photography after that, really heavily. Every day just trying to go out and shoot. I would drive down to Big Sur just to, take landscapes because it's all I wanted to do. And then, I was in college for the first 3 years, and then shout out to my accounting class. I was sitting in accounting class one day, and I was I don't want to be in school anymore. This is not what I want at all.
Shout out to the class that let you realize that.
Yeah, that was actually my second time taking the accounting class too.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I didn't pass the first time, and the second time I was really I'm just gonna hire someone to do my accounting for me in the long run, so I don't have to worry about it. So I was I really enjoy photography. I'd like to do that full time. So I told my parents I wasn't going to go to college anymore and become a photographer. And I'm sure you can imagine how that conversation went for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, for, like you're saying, were they kind of nervous about it?
Yeah, my mom's very like traditional in the sense of like, you know, you go to school, you get your degree, and you go find a job, and that's your career. And so I think that was kind of, you know, shocking for them, realizing like their son's not going to do that and kind of just pursue the artist path in a way. But you know, in the long run, it's paid off. Every day we get to wake up and shoot and do what we do. It wasn't really till like after when I met my wife that I got into video.
Because she was doing video first, right? I think I remember her saying that.
So she was doing, you know, photography when we first met, but at the same time, like she was going to film school at the college where we met, and like our first date was like the first video I ever made. We went to Big Sur, and I like made a video of our first date, and that was like the first video I like ever shot. It's cute because it's our first date video. Not very good from like a video standpoint, but it's fun to watch every once in a while to see, you know, how far we've come and, you know, what we do. But yeah, she's the one who really got me into video. And since then, since we've been together, we've been shooting weddings ever since and kind of created this hybrid, you know, do everything together. She handles all the photography side. I handle all the video production side. And like, you know, some might say, do you ever get tired of, you know, living and working with your wife? But it's the exact opposite. It's so much fun. Like, you know, being a business partner with your wife and bouncing ideas off of each other and, you know, shooting with each other and being creative. It's like a whole nother world. And then you get home and it's like you're with your wife and you go family mode and everything. But it's the best of both worlds, honestly.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I honestly never even thought about that with you guys. I think normally that would be my first question is like, oh, how is that? You know, and some people even say they don't recommend that because then there's no time away from your spouse. But I think I never thought about that with you guys because it always seemed like you guys worked so well together and you know, obviously get along well and stuff like that. And but it seems like even just creatively, you guys are always aligned with certain shots on the wedding days and stuff like that. So. That's cool, man.
It flows. I think, you know, it took a little bit to get there. Like I didn't want to shoot weddings at all, Tom. Like I refused to shoot weddings.
Was it just the real estate stuff to begin with, or?
Well, like, so to begin with, like I was shooting, you know, landscapes and just little videos out in Big Sur and stuff like that. And Nadine was doing weddings even like the first time we met back in like 2018 when we first got together. Like, she was already doing weddings. That's been her bread and butter for as long as I've known her. And she always was like, yeah, you should shoot weddings. Like, you know, it's really fun. And so I started like second shooting weddings not too long after we started dating the first time, just photography. And it was cool. I enjoyed it. So like when I first started shooting weddings, I didn't have really a good experience. Like my second shoot, I was assisting my cousin and I didn't do a really good job, to be honest. So I was kind of discouraged after that. And then like the first wedding I ever got hired to shoot video was a catastrophe. Like
really, and this wasn't the one assisting your cousin.
No, this was my first solo wedding. So like this is not too long after that.
And you assisted your cousin with photography.
Yes. And
then your first one hired was photography.
It was for video, actually. Because I had convinced them that, you know, I could create a great video for them, which I did. So long story short, Nadine, actually, my wife, ended up assisting me that day. Thank God. So what happened is that we did like a maybe 10 to 12 hour day. You know, when you first start out, you're like, yeah, I can be there all day. You can have me, whatever you want. So the wedding day was great. We got great footage, great shots. Ended up creating like, you know, a 7 to 10 minute highlight video of the whole day. Fantastic video. Thought I did great. Because I was inexperienced, I was like, let's meet up, you know, bring your laptop. I'll show you guys the video. I'll bring a hard drive. You can, you know, download it to your computer with some of the footage and stuff. We meet. They watch the video. It's fantastic. They don't have enough space on their computer to transfer the rest of the footage. So I was like, all good. We'll meet up next week and, you know, transfer the footage. Just bring a hard drive that you have, right? In between that time span, my hard drive failed and I lost all of the footage.
Oh, man.
So as you can imagine, they're pretty upset. But granted, they have their full highlight film already. So for like 8 to 10 months after this, we're going back and forth with the couple. You know, I've paid well over what I got paid for the wedding to get the hard drive fixed. They can't fix the hard drive. So like, you know, they're threatening to take me to small claims court and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Luckily, Nadine still had all of her footage from the day as my second shooter. So, at the time we had broken up, like we dated, we broke up. So at this time we weren't together, and I called her and I was like, hey, do you still have all that footage from that day? And luckily she did. So, you know, she came over, I downloaded all the footage. I was able to, you know, get it to the couple, and they still weren't happy. But anyways, you know, after that I was like, I don't know if I can shoot weddings. Like this is intense. And it wasn't until, you know, me and Nadine, you know, got back together in like 2020 or 2019 that I started shooting weddings again with her, and I like fell in love with it. Like now I can't not see myself not shooting weddings.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I remember you were saying, I think you told me part of that story before. I didn't know that you had lost the footage too because of a hard drive issue. That's, yeah, it's so stressful. And for anybody listening who, you know, like, doesn't know any photographers or videographers, there's a whole system that goes to like backing up your files. Like there's something called a RAID even, which is like you have all these independent disks, all these hard drives where like if one fails, then they get backed up by the other ones. And then you'll have separate ones, online storage, stuff like that. But yeah, is that something that you kind of picked up with time a little bit more, or was that one experience enough and painful enough for you to kind of like really change everything right away?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I changed everything like right away. I was broke at the time, so like buying a hard drive was like, I could buy one hard drive this time and like that's what I'm using, and if it fails, like I'm kind of screwed. But yeah, definitely over time and experience, you realize like, all right, like I have to at least double back everything up, and then, you know, if you can, triple back everything up. So like nowadays we've moved off of hard drives. Like I only back everything up on an SSD because we've had hard drives fail, as we've talked about.
Oh yeah.
And then plus, you know, a cloud backup. So I have a SSD backup, a cloud backup, and I also have a RAID system, like you said, backup. So everything is backed up multiple times locally and in the cloud. So
okay,
if either one fails, it's somewhere that I have.
Yeah. Damn, I forgot to turn off the AC. Quick pause.
All good.
Let me just turn that way.
Yeah, did I hit record? That's why yesterday when we were at the church, I walked up there because I couldn't see the red recording light on my camera
Yeah.
from the back. And I was like, I just need to check on the Sony to make sure it's still recording.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that Gina was standing there for a good portion of the ceremony, which was cool. Like, it was fine. But
in front of the camera?
Yeah, not in front of your camera,
okay.
but just behind your camera in that same area. And because I was just trying to be cognizant of where she was standing and stuff like that, so I wasn't in her way. But real quick on that is like, it's funny though that it's not just about like not being in her way, but I feel like if she's gonna go up front, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take advantage of this opportunity to get my close shots too, because it's like if she's gonna be potentially blocking our shots from the cameras that we have in the back, then I'm like, all right, I got to go up and capitalize on this event, and, you know, hopefully getting some of her shots too, you know.
Dang photographers.
Just kidding. That was a pretty good experience yesterday though. Like I felt like we worked really well together.
Agreed.
And I was happy that she even mentioned that too during dinner, you know, it was cool. Because it's not always like that with all photographers. Like even if it flows well on the outside, like sometimes you can kind of feel some tension a little bit. Because it is two different art forms. I don't know if you've noticed this with your wife, but like because you kind of have to be different when you're doing video as opposed to photo. Do you guys ever... So you really, I know I was mentioning yesterday, it seems like you guys flow super well together, but like, are there ever any moments where where you kind of maybe not like butt heads, but just have diverging opinions on like what it should be going, or kind of like run into each other a little bit, stuff like that?
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily like we butt heads or anything. I think because we've been doing this for a while, we do have, you know, a good flow. Like you said, we know in our head kind of what poses we want the couple to do. But if I had a dime for, you know, every shot my wife's elbow is in when she raises her camera, you know, I'd have a couple dollars. But other than that, really, yeah, it's kind of just, we kind of know what ideas and poses we want to roll into and kind of flow off that. And, you know, if she's in my way, I'll tell her to get out of the way. But for the most part, I don't think we have like opposing directions. But you're right, like it's a completely different mindset when it comes to photo and video. And like me starting photography and like fully switching to video, it's definitely, you know, hard for me to take a photo nowadays. It's hard to like, because, you know, with video you have the opportunity to tell a story with multiple different shots. Versus photography, I feel like you're trying to fit that whole story into one frame per se. And it's hard to do that for me. Like it takes my brain a little bit to rack focus and be like, okay, like this is how you're going to frame for a photo, versus we're so used to framing for video, whether it's a wide, a medium, and then get a tight shot. It's like you have this you know, steps of what you do. Like first I'll get a wide, then we'll go and get a medium, then we'll get a tight. And like you can combine all those 3 shots to tell the part of the story. Versus photography, you're like, I need to get this shot. You can get multiple shots, but you're trying to cram more into one frame, I say.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too, about having the surrounding shots too, to kind of help tell the story. And when you mentioned like Nadine's elbow coming up, it's funny you say that, because I've had that happen so many times with photographers too. Whereas I feel like with video, we're kind of arms down, everything's a little bit lower, and we're kind of just like center mass, like we move into people's way this way, but not, it's a little bit lower. But yeah. And, actually that's how you and I first met too, is at my first wedding, and you were shooting photo though.
Yeah. That's right.
And yeah, but it's funny because when I think back to when I saw you then, of like how you were working, because you were doing photo, because I was just kind of watching all the other vendors too, as I was, you know, my brother and I, we were trying to capture everything we could, but I was also watching other people, not just so that I can, you know, like work well with them, not be in their shots, stuff like that. But it was also interesting, you know, it was a good learning experience for me. Yeah. You guys were moving so much more than we kind of were, because it's like Toast, for example, I remember, like Jen would be moving a lot, the photographer that you were shooting for. And, yeah, you guys were just moving around a lot. And I feel like that's how photo kind of is like, there's a lot of moving around. Whereas, video, especially if it's a toast or something like that, where you want to capture, the movement has to be incorporated too. Or like you don't want to waste that footage, totally. or miss like those spots. Yeah. So was that one of your last weddings that you shot photo then?
I would say it's probably like the last wedding I shot photo at. Yeah.
It was like that was right around 2 years ago, I think.
Been 2 years already?
2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, time flies. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, me and Nadine were tag teaming that day because we didn't have a babysitter. So like the first half of the day, she was assisting Jen, and then she came home and put the baby to sleep, and I tagged me in, and I went to go finish the rest of the day with those photos. But yeah, I think that was probably the last time I took photos at a wedding.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah. And that was perfect for me too, because, that was when Jen had actually, she was the one who told me like, yeah, Nadine's husband, he runs a video business. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I wonder if, Gabriel would like shoot for me with this wedding. The one I had in Big Sur, like later on. And then, yeah, that's when we started working together. Yeah. Yeah, good times. I hate to backtrack a little bit, but when you were saying the accounting course was what made you like want to go full time, was that originally what you went into school for though? Like, yeah. So you thought you were going to be or you thought about being an accountant?
No. So I was originally going to school for a business degree with a focus in like business management.
Oh, okay. So the accounting was like
a requirement for the business degree.
Makes sense.
And it's like in hindsight, like now that we run our own business, like I'm doing what I was doing in accounting class. And so, which is fine. Like we have, obviously we have accountants that, do majority of the work, but I'm still doing the basics of that accounting class. So I think it's funny that it's like, from what I do remember in the class has helped me out, but at the end of the day, yeah, I'm obviously paying someone to handle all that.
Yeah, you can just outsource stuff, if you need.
That's the best thing about owning your own business. I mean, I think that's the beauty of, owning your own business. It's finding people to put on your team who are better at certain things, and that's how you grow, because you can't have, everyone can't be on the same level as you. It's good. It's called a 30% rule, right? Where you spend 30% of your time mentoring people. You spend 30% of your time with people on the same level as you, like your friends are doing the same thing, like we're all doing the same thing with the cameras. And then you spend 30% with like a mentor, people who are at a different position as you, people are higher than you, so you can learn from them. Mm-hmm. That's a rule I learned a long time ago, and it seems helpful to me. It's like, you really know you've learned something when you can teach it to someone else.
Right.
And, I like to bring people on the team who are, newer on video or photo, and, try to teach them some of the stuff I know. And I try to spend my time with, videographers or cinematographers who are in a position I like to be one day. I feel like I'm going off our question. I don't remember what the original question was, man. But
it was about accounting, but
I don't know. Yeah. How we got this far, but,
yeah,
that's where I'm at right now. Got a little sidetracked, but
no, man,
I don't know how I got on that subject.
It's all related, because what you were saying just about that allocation of time, so that you have a well-rounded approach to everything. So it's like, you're learning, but then you're also passing on to things. And like, I've learned a ton from you, because, when I brought you on, I was like, kind of, what do you think about this? And then you were doing some stuff, like saying some things that I hadn't even thought of before. And even just the approach to a wedding day was really helpful for me at the time, just being a little bit more laid back. I was definitely kind of, stressed out about like covering this and that. And just because I had seen something, or I had a vision in my mind, I needed to be able to let go of that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's analogous to life too. It's like, you can have a plan, but you got to be able to go with the flow.
Roll with it.
Yeah. Just roll with it a little bit.
Life's better that way, when you kind of just back off, and it's in God's hands. You can't. The more you try to control, the more stuff doesn't go your way, and the more frustrated you are. And that's something I learned like last year. Like I was always trying to do, what you think is best, and you're like, I have to do this way, certain way. But then I found myself always either getting disappointed or frustrated. And it's like, I feel like over the past, maybe last wedding season to this wedding season, I was like, you kind of just let go. And yeah, like you said, you have a vision of what you want to do, but you got to go with the flow, especially on wedding days, because they can be chaotic and a lot of moving parts. And that's kind of the best way to approach a wedding day. You're right.
Yeah. And that's just, I also kind of felt like I haven't had that you don't really have a choice to,
no.
And it's just way less enjoyable for everybody if you're, like stressed out and kind of like, just the whole process is not as fun, because for yourself, even because, I don't know. I feel like we could go on for hours about it, because I have so many examples in my mind of like, of that. Even with yesterday, we got so many great shots and so many cool things, but there were still a couple of things that, I had in my mind of like, oh, like I kind of wish we would have gone over here. But then I was like, well, but we got to do this other thing that was even better than I thought. So it's a trade-off. And then it's also just adapting to whatever you have going on, whatever. Yeah.
What do you feel like has been the most like valuable piece of, either like knowledge or tips that you feel like you've implemented since shooting weddings?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say for me personally, just going with the flow, like you said. I think I heard another YouTuber say, I think it was Matt Johnson. I think he's a big wedding.
Love Matt Johnson.
Yeah, he's awesome. Big like wedding videography filmmaker. You know, helps a lot of people and stuff like that. Does behind the scenes. I heard him say one time that it's really just about preparing for every eventuality and then going with it. And I've said that before. I feel it. And then when he said that, I was like, oh, that's exactly what I feel like it's like. But also just, I don't know, to answer your question, I would say just getting caught up in the emotions in a good way though. Because in my experience, and I've always kind of told myself, you know, it's like, you got to control your emotions, and not be emotional. I'm still trying to be less emotional in life to be honest. But I feel like with something like weddings, and then it also carries over into life too, though, is like you can let them carry you a little bit. So, you know, if there's a really emotional speech or something like that, it's cool to be empathetic towards that, kind of lose yourself in whatever experience they're sharing, and, you know, get caught up in that emotion a little bit. Whereas, you know, when it's like the dances or other things where everybody's excited and it's like they're breaking out the drinks, it's like you can
tap into that energy.
Exactly. So, and I think life is just super boring if you're not getting emotional, like if you're not tapping into the positive sides of those emotions a little. It's just such a roller coaster, because I've had somebody say that to me too, a really seasoned photographer. I think he's been doing it for like 12 years or something like that.
Nice.
And I shot with him in Carmel Valley too. And then, but he had been doing all kinds of different photography. And I asked him, you know, like, what's your favorite kind though? And he goes, weddings, because it's such a roller coaster of emotions. That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, it's nerve wracking, but it's fun because just the pressure and everything. But
it gets you going. That pressure is definitely good. Like, it motivates you.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that it was such a big industry, to be honest. Like, when I started doing it, I was doing it on the side, like while I was teaching full time, and I was just like, oh, this is cool. But as I got into it, I started learning, like, man, this is a serious kind of profession where a lot of people put their whole lives into this, you know. And I had experienced that with that before, like in the wedding industry, whether it's like well, just things that you know about, like jewelry, for example, like people who sell jewelry to brides and stuff like that, or DJs. Like, I have a relative who's a bartender and kind of a host, and he does really well and has met all kinds of, you know, well-known people, and I think it's a specific skill set too, being able to entertain people, host people, and just in the hospitality industry. And I feel like it's kind of related to that, is that skill set's never going to go away. It's always going to be in demand.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. But where do you, I think before you had mentioned that you guys really want to do like the travel video and photo type of thing. Is that still where you see yourself going with video?
Yes and no. To be honest, as you know, since having a kid, it kind of complicates things, like travel wise.
Right.
I mean, for the most part, we kind of stopped advertising, like especially Hawaii. We used to do a lot of weddings in Hawaii, especially a few years ago. We were going out there, every few months to shoot a wedding. But with the travel, like obviously it got more expensive. We have to bring a babysitter with us to watch our daughter while we're out. So like, yes and no. Like, yes, we love to travel and shoot videos, but like logistically wise, it can be tough. And like, I think our main focus is capturing weddings out here in Monterey and Big Sur. That's where we love to be. It's close to home. Mm-hmm. It's our favorite place to create.
And you grew up here, right?
Yeah, born and raised here. It's like Big Sur is my backyard. Mm-hmm. And as I said earlier, like I would drive there every day just to capture it. So it's definitely, and that's where we got married. So it's like a special place in our hearts that we love to be. So yeah, we love to travel and capture videos everywhere else, but like this is where we love to be.
That's awesome. So you guys are gonna stay. You guys don't see yourself moving anywhere?
Not anytime soon. That's for sure.
That's awesome. I'd honestly never thought about Monterey being like a family type of place, but when we lived here, my wife and I only lived here for like 3 years. It was kind of off and on with COVID because some hybrid work stuff like that. But for the most part, yeah, we were here for about 3 years, and then I was here more and some change after that. While I was here, I learned that it's actually there are a lot of young families here. I don't know if that's the military side of it too, with the military bases, more people.
Definitely part of it.
Yeah. I don't know what the statistics are, but just I think in the military too, people will have kids younger, get married younger, stuff like that. And it's just a little bit more family oriented. You know, obviously not all aspects of the military, sure, but kind of like with regards to how it relates to the community, you know, the towns and stuff like that. Yeah. And I remember you were saying too that Monterey is great for kids too. So
it's like the perfect place to raise a family. Obviously growing up here, you're used to kind of like the surrounding area, but if you appreciate, you know, this place for what it is, like it's a beautiful landscape. You get to be outside, you know, 90% of the time. As long as you like, it's easy to take for granted. I would say that, especially if like, you know, you live here every day and, but yeah, perfect place to raise a family. You're always outdoors. You know, obviously it's not always sunny, but it's always nice here. And, you know, because it's somewhat of a small town, you know, it's very community driven. So everyone knows each other. Everyone's kind of supporting each other. You know, kids all play together. And, you know, everyone like I grew up with, you know, who has moved away, you know, they always come back. It's like, why would you want to live anywhere else besides here if you grew up here? It's just the perfect place. And yeah, you're right. I can't imagine us living anywhere else, to be honest. Like, sure, like we love traveling and going and spending time at these other places and enjoying these experiences. But every time we come back, it's like, no, like Monterey just feels like home.
And do you have extended family here too? Like you and Nadine?
Yeah. So, I mean, both of our moms live in the area, and the family's pretty close by.
Nice.
Not too far.
Cool. That's, I should have asked this question earlier when you were talking about it, but you had said like you had never touched a camera, like you didn't want to, but then you did get into it like while you and Nadine were dating. Was it her that kind of got you into it, or was it just the landscape of Big Sur, things like that, kind of surrounding factors?
Yeah. That's a good question, actually. So actually I picked up a camera before I met Nadine. So like this is like my freshman year of college, I would say. I couldn't tell you what like made me pick up a camera. It was just, I would say it's like this internal feeling. It was like I just picked it up and it felt so organic and natural to me. And I really feel like I use it as my escape, to escape whatever situation I was in, especially back then. Like didn't have the best family situation, didn't have the best living situation. So like a camera and like going out to Big Sur was like my therapy, I would say. And that's what really got me into shooting. It's like I can create art and capture moments in time that mean something to me, especially going out to Big Sur. It's like I just felt at peace, you know, with the camera in my hand out in Big Sur, just taking photos. It was like truly my escape. And I think that's what made me fall in love with it. But like, yeah, like in high school, I was like, no, like, I don't want to pick up a camera. What is this?
Yeah. Just, it wasn't like the cool thing to do.
I think I was too focused on being cool in high school. I was like, I'm not picking up a camera.
Yeah. What do you think is the number one thing about either filming weddings or originally with a camera that kind of is therapeutic for you? Would you say that you enjoy?
You know, I think, like I said, I think it's just capturing moments in time. It's like you have this ability to quote unquote like freeze time forever. And like, especially I think the beauty of, especially now what we do with videos, it's like delivering videos to couples, like a couples is like my favorite thing to do, because they get to relive their day forever with these special moments, and it's like capturing those special moments throughout the day and incorporating those in the video, you know, with audio and everything. Especially people, you know, they don't get to see all that often, or like, you know, grandparents, you include that, and it's like it's evoking that emotion out, whether it's the, you know, the photos or the videos. I think that's the best part about it, is like getting those emotions. I would say that's probably my driving factor.
That's cool. Yeah, especially when you're able to kind of gift that to other people too, not just other relatives, you know, that maybe they don't get to see as much, but also on the day of, like the angles that they don't see. That's like one of my favorite reactions, is when they say like, "Oh, I didn't even know that this happened," and you got it. That's always really rewarding, you know, really fun for sure. Well, yeah, man, I know I don't want to keep you too long. I know you guys got a big day today with the racetrack, the Ferraris. Dude, man.
Oh, good. Yeah, we love cars. That's why we're at the racetrack.
Yeah, that was so crazy. I was parked to one yesterday, and I don't think I told you that it was funny. It was I think he was a British guy or something. I don't know if he was in the States like just for that, or I don't know. Yeah, but he saw me with the cameras, and then he goes like, "Oh, it looks like we're going to the same place." And I was like, I think he assumed that I was going to the racetrack, and then he's like, "Oh, but are you here for the wedding?" Because he saw some people like getting ready for the wedding. I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing." He's like, "I think I'd rather stick to what I'm doing today." So I was like, I mean, yeah,
probably wanted you to shoot his car on the way to the racetrack or something.
I know, something like that too. He has super nice. All those Ferraris were great.
Super nice.
Yeah, man. Really nice. But yeah, that was just funny because he was like, "Oh, yeah, I'd rather be doing what I'm doing." But I'm like, "Wedding's fun too, man. You should stick around with the Ferrari." But yeah, okay. So you guys, you guys got the racetrack coming up. Anything that you would like to share, kind of close on about, kind of video photography, the creative industries in general, like anything that you want to, leave people with?
Yeah. I mean, the creative industry is huge, especially nowadays, I feel like. And I feel like it's important to just, stay true to yourself. Like, it's easy to get caught up in, what everyone else is doing, especially on Instagram or YouTube and all that. But it just really stick to what you feel is best for you. I feel like there was a time where I got lost in like creating what everyone else was creating, especially maybe like 1 or 2 wedding seasons ago. I was just constantly watching Instagram videos and quote, like, not copying, but like you get inspo and you're like, oh, like I want to get this shot. But it's like, you just find what works for you, what works best for you, stick to it. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing, and have fun. Like, at the end of the day, just have fun creating.
Do you feel like that's helped you as a person too?
Yeah, most definitely. Like we talked about earlier, like letting go, it's tough, but it's kind of the best thing for you. And since then, like, we approach every wedding day, obviously with like a plan, poses we want to do for the couple and stuff. But, as the day unfolds, every wedding is the same, but different at the same time. It's like every wedding has pretty much the outline, and you just go in and you have the outline, but you capture the day as it unfolds. So just have fun, create.
Sounds good, man.
Live life.
That's a great note to end on. I agree. And
thanks for having me, man.
Hey, yeah, thanks so much for coming on. We'll have to do this again, especially as I get better with this.
Anytime, dude. This is fun.
I know that because I wrote down some questions. I went over some things that I wanted to ask you about, and that was super interesting, and to learn a little bit more about your background and kind of how you got into it and stuff. But yeah, I'd love to do this again another time, and yeah, have more to talk about. We'll have more to talk about with more shoots too.
We'll have to shoot like a crazy wedding in between. Like, it was the most crazy wedding experience we've shot just to talk about.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for, because I've heard other photographers say stuff like they've seen fights and stuff like that. I've never seen anything like that. I'm still waiting for.
I have.
You have?
Oh yeah, I've definitely.
Okay.
On a side note, one wedding. That just made me think.
Dude,
about
yeah,
it.
drop some crazy story right now. Yeah.
This reminds me. I've had some crazy stuff happen at weddings, but the fight reminded me of, there was this one wedding I got where these 2 ladies started cat fighting right before the speeches, or I think it was during one of the speeches. It was the dad speech, and like, how we say there should always be a time limit on speeches. I shot this speech handheld, and this man's speech was like probably like 4 or 5 pages long with like 12-point Times New Roman font, not double spaced. And yeah, so he started a speech. These ladies start fighting. Security has to take him out. He's just like,
were they fighting over the length of the speech?
I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was something dumb, you know, and you just hear them getting escorted in the back, and the father's just giving this 20-minute, it was probably 30 minutes like speech.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't the last speech. So, you know, someone has to go after them. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go after this 30-minute speech. Like, everyone's over speeches at that point. But yeah, I've had fights. I've had, you know, people doing, you know, drugs in the bathroom at weddings. Like,
wow.
you know, obviously these are like my first weddings. Like, they're not, obviously, you know, clients that we have now aren't like this. But yeah, like,
it is funny how, like, as you evolve as a shooter, and I'm still pretty new to the industry, I would say like 2 years is nothing, right? But I've already kind of noticed that as you evolve as a shooter or somebody as a vendor, then your clients kind of evolve too, and it might not even be intentional too. It just kind of naturally.
It just kind
happens.
of yeah. Gina brought up a good point yesterday, the photographer, where it's like your clients, as you do this, you feel the connection between your clients. You know who's a right fit for you and in your vision and who's not. And as you progress and throughout your career, and the people will find you who want to work with you, who value your work, and you know you're going to get along with. And like, it's a cool thing when, you know, your clients also become your friends, or like you keep up with your clients because they're so fantastic. And I think that's important, that as you progress in your career, you find clients who basically become your friends. And like, I'm not saying you have to hang out all the time with your clients, but you just feel that connection in between. That energy just kind of meshes, and it's a smooth transition. Day of wedding, before the wedding, after the wedding, everything's smooth. And I think that just comes with time, as you said, as you progress, right people find you.
Yeah. Sounds good, man.
Sweet.
Well, hey, yeah. Thank you again so much.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is probably the earliest podcast you've shot.
No, it's actually not. I think my brother and I did one at like 5:30 because
next time. I want to be the earliest one.
I know. Yeah, 4 a.m. next time,
4
right?
a.m. Yeah, we'll do 4 a.m. We'll just stay up after the wedding we shot, and for the 4 hours, we'll get home at like midnight, and we'll just stay up.
Like we got back from a war zone or something like that.
Do it as tired as possible.
Yeah, I know. All right, guys. Yeah. So, any final words?
I think I said it all
yeah,
now.
Yeah. Man.
Thanks for having me.
Love it.
Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. Thank you, Gabriel.
Thanks, man.